Joe, we want to get to the costs of war. You wrote a book on this. But first, the World Health Organization's Africa director has condemned plans by the U.S. and other wealthy countries to offer third-dose COVID vaccine booster shots, while only 2% of Africa's 1.3 billion people have been fully vaccinated. Dr. Matshidiso Moeti said the U.S. should have given priority and must do it now to poorer nations. This is what they said.
Moves by some countries globally to introduce booster shots threaten the promise of a brighter tomorrow for Africa. As some richer countries hoard vaccines, they make a mockery, frankly, of vaccine equity.
You've just written an article on this issue, along with Lori Wallach. And I'm wondering if you can talk about, it's called Will Corporate Greed Prolong the Pandemic? Can you talk about vaccine equity?
Sure. I mean, it's very clear that we're not going to be safe until the whole world is safe. As long as the disease is festering someplace in the world, there are going to be mutations. We know that. And we know that these mutations can be more contagious, more dangerous, and even more vaccine resistant. So it's in our own self-interest that we get the disease controlled everywhere. But right now, there are two problems. This issue of vaccine equity, who gets the vaccine and who doesn't, and disproportionately, the United States is getting a real access to the vaccine, and the developing countries simply are not. But to me, the real issue is lack of supply. There is no excuse a year, more than a year after the COVID-19 started, well after we discovered the vaccines that worked, that there should be this kind of supply shortage. The market economy has the ability to produce these vaccines. I'm afraid that they're limiting the production to keep the price up. The head of Pfizer was hoping that he could sell each dose for $175, something that cost far, far less than that. So to me, the first priority ought to be revving up production so that there is a supply for everybody in the world.
And finally, the costs of war. You wrote a book on this subject as Biden pulls U.S. troops out of Afghanistan.
Well, the title of my book we wrote more than a decade ago was The $3 Trillion War. Pointing out the high cost of the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. We knew that our numbers were conservative, but as time mounted on and the cost mounted up, what we've discovered is that the cost just of caring for our
we have 20 seconds.
Is in the trillions of dollars. The wars have been little benefit, but an enormous cost to our society.
We want to thank you so much for being with us, Joe Stiglitz, Nobel Prize-winning economist, Columbia University professor, former chair of the Council of Economic Advisors. Among his books, People, Power, and Profits, Progressive Capitalism for an Age of Discontent. That does it for our show. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Stay safe.